GWATA TV gives you a first look at North Central Washington's business news. You'll hear from our local business, tech, and education companies as Jenny discusses hot topics and current events with some of the best innovators and pioneers in North Central Washington.
Hello, North Central Washington. I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, your host on GWATA TV. Today's episode of GWATA TV is unique because we actually went outside the studio and participated in an event held at Wenatchee Valley College, which was called the 12th District STEM and Career Connected Learning Legislative Forum. As you know, it's the time of the year where it's election season and there's candidates running for local, state, and national offices. It was really important to us at both GWATA and in partnership with the Apple STEM Network to allow the 12th District candidates to talk about STEM education and how they plan to support career-connected learning in our schools. So on today's episode, what you're going to see is some of the highlights from the 12th District STEM Legislative Forum that was held at Wenatchee Valley College. To set the stage for what you'll see, I want to point out that we partnered with a couple people on this event, including Washington STEM. Washington STEM is a statewide nonprofit committed to supporting STEM education throughout the spectrum from early childhood all the way through post-secondary and into workforce. We had Dr. Andy Schaus come over from Washington STEM to help moderate this panel-style forum where we asked each of the candidates to share their ideas on thoughts in different aspects of education. So I hope you will enjoy today's episode. It's going to be a two-parter, so look for an upcoming episode with more information from the forum. Enjoy.
If I could ask each of the candidates to just say one word, 1 minute, about yourselves, and we'll start with Dr. Ann.
1 minute. I'm Ann Diamond. I'm a family physician, and many of you are probably from Chelan County. The legislative district that we are all running for is Chelan-Douglas, and because districts have to be large enough, we also include part of Okanagan and part of Grant County. So I'm from Okanagan County, and I run my own practice there for 16 years as a rural doc. And what that means as a rural doc is that I have opportunity to enter into my community in multiple ways. When it was clear that we didn't have fresh vegetables, even though we were a rural agricultural community, I helped start our farmers market and ran it for 12 years. And in education, when you're a small education district, what happens is you run out of science very quickly. You have biology, chemistry, physics, and done. So my son, when he was in school, did not have any elective science. So what we did, myself and another physician, is we taught anatomy and physiology. And with that anatomy and physiology, we had multi-generational education in science in a small community in rural Washington. Thank you.
Thank you. I should mention Dr. Diamond is competing for House Seat 1, and she faces Commissioner Gaynor, and we'll hear from him next.
Good afternoon, I'm Keith Gaynor, and currently I'm Chelan County Commissioner. But in my former life, I was an educator. As I came out of college, I taught 6th grade and really enjoyed working with kids, and that was really where I had intended to make my career, was in education. But I've transitioned back to the family farm. We live in Dryden, my wife, and we raise our 3 kids there, and we have 6 grandchildren, and we still live on the farm, still farming. But my last 16 years have really been involved in public service. And that's really where I find, my heart is in serving the public. Now, when I think about education, I realize in looking through the STEM programs and becoming more acquainted with it, that things really have cycled through from the time I was a teacher. And it's really important for us to focus on educating our youth because they are our future. And we want them to have as many opportunities as possible. And so that's what I'm about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaynor. Now we'll hear from the candidates for House Seat 2, beginning with Representative Mike Caroline Steele.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an honor to serve as your state representative over the last 2 years. I was born and raised just down the street in Manson. My family's been there 115 years, and I was able to graduate from Manson and get degrees from Pacific Lutheran University in biology and chemistry with majors in business administration and political science. At the state level, I serve on the K-12 Education Committee and the Technology and Economic Development Committee, and there's a great opportunity for overlap when it comes to CTE and STEM and how we create policies that influence those things in this state. We've been doing some great work around funding for CTE. I want to see that continue. I was really fortunate to grow up with a unique educational opportunity, STEM-focused education in a school that my parents and several community members started. And that has really influenced how I look at policy at the state level. I'm really excited to have a more in-depth conversation around CTE and STEM and what I think it can do for competency-based learning and career-connected learning here in Washington State. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ms. Valerie Surratt.
Hi, my name is Valerie Surratt, and I am a middle school and high school teacher in Brewster School District currently. I've also taught throughout Washington State in the Seattle School District, as well as in Alaska and in California. I was very lucky in my early 20s to be able to travel around the world, and I lived for 8 years in Paris. So I was able to see some of the differences between our schooling here in the United States and what is done abroad. So that gives me some perspective on that. Although I'm a language arts person, and I have not necessarily been spending a lot of time in the math and sciences, but I believe they're incredibly important, and we need to do everything we can to develop science literacy as well as English language literacy. Thank you.
Question 1, and this is for Representative Steele and Ms. Surratt. A great math education is key. It's foundational to any life course, to being a literate, informed participant in our society and our democracy, to any post-secondary certificate, associate's degree, 4-year degree. You name it. Early on, we've got to get people started. Yet lots of kids, young people in this community and communities throughout the state, are coming to the school with a disadvantage and not making the progress. So it's a critical issue. And it's often looks much worse for communities that are underserved, for groups that have historically been marginalized, children of color, children in rural areas, girls, critical issue. With all of that said, can you please address the following question? Let's say it clearly. What needs to be done to ensure that high-quality early math education is provided for all students, especially those most underserved? And I'd like to ask Ms. Surratt to address that question first.
All right. Actually, I'll just stay seated here. There are so many aspects to the answer to this question, obviously, and anything we deal with in education. I think one of the things I've been focused on is preschool teachers and the gap that they have in their pay compared to their cohorts in regular elementary school. I think preschool is when we have to get the students to start thinking in mathematical terms, and not just in terms of, say, helping them to count and do the very basic mathematical ideas, but actually introducing ideas like decimal numbers, like fractions, in ways that are very meaningful to the kids in a very practical manner. So this is going to take funding, obviously. It's going to take, I believe, better teacher training and really a deliberate look at how the young brain works and making those connections for teachers and how to teach early learning with math. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Steele.
Yes, this is an interesting issue. I think one of the things that the state does poorly, in my my opinion, is we tend to silo education. We say we're going to focus on pre-K education policy, and we're going to focus on K through 12 education policy, and then lastly, higher education. As I tour facilities in our district, all over our district, which include 29 different school districts, you see a disparity of access to education opportunities, specifically around early learning. And we've seen time and time again on the education committee that if we don't catch these kids early and don't give them an opportunity to succeed early, then we are trying to help them catch up through the entirety of their K through 12 education. So one of the things that I've been focused on is looking at how we're funding ECAP and early childhood development and what that looks like for our ASDs and how are they transferring that money down into those services, especially in rural communities like ours. How do we get those community services out to those kids? How do we reach those kids and those families? And how do we engage them in a meaningful way that says, this is a really important element of your child's education and it can't be left off the table. You can't start thinking about their education only after they enter kindergarten. You really have to be focused on engagement early, and that engagement has to look more like a STEM model, in my personal opinion. Those kids are going to be gravitating toward the interaction with toys and informational tools that are much more hands-on, much more geared toward that early cognitive learning that they haven't yet developed, and you're trying to help them decide how to best pursue the understanding of math. And fundamentally, that can't stop at kindergarten. In fact, there has to be a balance between how ready these kids are in kindergarten and how much we push them in that pre-K area. We want them to be prepared, but we don't want them to be overwhelmed. And that's the policy kind of struggle that we're working on at the state level. There has to be a lot of education around that and a lot of time spent because we want to get it right. We're also working in the K-12 system around credits and what math looks like for credits. And are we able to substitute some things like computer science that may help those kids who can't achieve. We did some work around that actually this last year, who didn't achieve their math certificate, or their math credit rather, and maybe pursue it through a computer science credit that might replace that. So we can get creative, and I think we have to be innovative in our approach, and I'm really excited to continue working on that. Thank you.
Good. We'll move to the second question. This question is addressed to Commissioner Gaynor and Dr. Diamond, and the topic is STEM equity. How do you propose science, technology, engineering, and math education be fully integrated as part of a high-quality basic education from pre-K to career? What needs to happen in terms of policy and resources to increase access and close opportunity gaps for underserved communities, like rural communities, communities of color, communities experiencing poverty, and of course, the demographic group of girls and women? And we will start with Commissioner King.
So how do we narrow the gap and integrate the STEM education across the spectrum?
What policies and resources?
Okay. Well, I think that one of the key things that we have here are educators. And when I say that, these are the people who are dealing with the children and as they progress through their lives, they're the ones who should have a good handle on what would be the best policies to integrate. And I think that sometimes when we have policy makers, we don't always engage the right resources in order to make good judgments and make good investments. It's important to have a good integration of the STEM network throughout the whole spectrum, whether it be from pre-K through higher learning. But it's also important to have a real balance and allow the individuals to find where they fit in the system. And I think I made a comment earlier about the cyclical nature, and when you look how education has evolved, sometimes it's gone back to where we were. And I think that it's important that you hold on to the things that work well, but then be willing to change to implement new technologies and new techniques in educating. So, from the standpoint of the policies, once again, the policymakers should be those who are involved in the educational process and not necessarily people who are somewhat removed. And I think that that's a real danger that we have in government sometimes, where the people who are supposed to be or thought to be the experts are really not the ones who are most engaged in the process. So my thought would be that we need to make sure that we are engaging in those people to make sure that the policies that are proposed can be implemented and they really make good sense and are very productive.
Thank you. Got it.
I don't believe STEM should be separate. It should be integrated at every level in the schools. And what that means is you don't hold it apart. It's not after school, it's not weekends. If you look at students of poverty, they often have to go home at 3 o'clock to take care of their younger siblings when their mom is going to work. So how do you incorporate them in an after-school, say, Lego project if they need to be home with other responsibilities? And they might not have the transportation to go on a weekend field trip. You pull that back and you make sure that every student at every grade has opportunity to good math training and science curriculum. For myself, again, we have a small school district, and as Mike alluded to, there are 29 school districts in this legislative district. You have Wenatchee, which has over 7,000, and you have Stehekin, which has less than 7. How do you equitably distribute funds and make sure that every student, regardless of zip code, has opportunity? One of the ways was if you don't want to just focus on the beginnings in pre-K, you have to get the youngest students up to speed, but you also want to have opportunity for the accelerated students in the high school. And for that means Running Start, Career Connects, and perhaps some tele-education, where there are computer-based science courses where the teacher is the coach. And in that instance, I would say the coach needs to be paid, just like a basketball coach. This is not extracurricular, this is fundamental. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to question 3. Career and Technical Education, or as folks have referred to it as the CTE. This question will be addressed to Representative Steele and Surratt. Career and Technical Education, or CTE, delivers STEM courses for students in a whole host of tech fields: engineering, robotics, computer science, medical occupations, and it's perhaps the most robust body of STEM preparation we have in our current K-12 system. I see some of the critical leaders in this community involved in CTE here in the room, so it's very good to have the audience. I'd like to know if we consider any increases in funding towards CTE or to specific STEM in-demand careers in the region. And we will have Representative Steele address that question first.
All the time, every time, yes. We worked on it last session and did get some additional funding put out into our CTE programs. You know, the thing that I find most fascinating and I think most important about these programs, I was just touring schools in Olympia, the Olympia area last Thursday, as part of a special task force designed to, there were 8 of us appointed in the legislature that are responsible for coming up with a new funding model for how we build schools. And one of the key elements in how we're building schools today is what does the future of education policy look like? Because you can't have policy without space, and you can't have space without policy. And so it's a little bit like looking into a crystal ball, but one of the things I think all 8 of us agreed on during this tour, and there's 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats, is that we really find tremendous value in making sure that our career and technical education programs are unique and adequate at each and every school district based on their region, based on the community, based on what the community needs might be, because it's so great, you know, to come to a place like Wenatchee and see what the CTE program is doing. I mean, if they're working on creating skis with K2, that's a pretty exciting little project for places like Mission Ridge. You go over to North Rochester High School, and they've got these incredible 3D printers that are pumping out things all the time, and whenever that student can kind of conjure, those students are engaged, they are ready to learn, they want to be in that classroom, and they're thinking about a future career which is way more impactful than anything we can do as it relates to just standing up in front of them and preaching at them about education. So CTE has to be adequately funded. It should be funded at a greater level every time. And I'm pushing my colleagues on the K-12 education committee to look to CTE first. We have to sort of switch the narrative. It can't all be about 4-year universities. There's some great skills, necessary skills that we need to be teaching our kids now and giving them a pathway to success that isn't necessarily university driven. In fact, can be a CTE or a career-connected learning that may in the long run prove to them they're amazingly, incredibly gifted individuals and aren't necessarily destined to a 4-year university, but can do great things in their communities with a quality CTE education. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, in thinking about this question, the answer to this, I was thinking about my own school where I teach right now, and a number of the courses that are offered as CTE courses are things like floral design and kind of an easier way for a student to pick up some credits in this area. And I was disappointed to see that there weren't more opportunities for some of the more useful CTE courses that should be available to kids in rural districts as well as urban settings. So that's something that's really, I think, needs to be taken a look at. Obviously, I believe in solid education, solid funding for education in all areas. Another area that I think is of concern to me is that a lot of times the kids who enter these CTE programs in high school and take these classes do not have the literary skills that they need to be able to understand the material that they're given. So I think that we need to work better as teachers and as a district, as each district, to start doing some alignment with the vocabulary that kids are going to need in those classes, in those fields, and start introducing those earlier in both elementary and middle school. So those are my perspectives on that issue.
We hope you got some great information from this two-part segment where we filmed the STEM and Career-Connected Learning Legislative Forum with District 12 representatives. Again, this is a two-part episode, so stay tuned for our next episode, which will feature an additional 20 minutes of highlights from the forum. The good news is we filmed the entire 90-minute forum and we have that information available online. So if you wanted to hear more from each of these candidates on how they felt about STEM education, career-connected learning, and what their plans are to support education should they be elected or confirmed into office, please again visit the GWATA website for that full program. We want to thank the Wenatchee Valley College and their team for hosting us at this event, as well as Washington STEM for coming out to moderate the panel. We hope you'll tune in to see the next episode of GWATA TV and the second feature of our STEM Legislative Forum. Thanks for joining us.
Since 1999, GWATA has served as North Central Washington's Tech Alliance. As a 501c3, our mission is to bring people and technology resources together to create a thriving community. Through our work, we aim to inspire, engage, and connect.